we're winging this. This is the story of our first home intruder.
Mm-hmm.
And this traumatized us.
It did.
It was scary.
Yeah, well, we were still downstairs.
Well, we had bought the house.
Right.
But when we had to do a lot of work on the house after we bought it. So we were living downstairs, like our bedroom was in the living room.
Right.
So it was one night, you tend to conk out around midnight.
Yeah.
And I
Like
tend
a
to stay
pumpkin.
up till like 2 a.m.
Right.
So it was like 1 in the morning, and I'm sitting there like reading a book, and from upstairs I hear like thump 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 thump, like a feet,
Right.
like walking upstairs, but like thump 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 thump. So I get very tense, and I listen, and every so often it happens again, and I'm going through my mind. I was like, I know the front door is locked, and I could like no one's coming that way. I know the back door's locked, and I'm pretty sure no one came in that way. But like, could someone had like gotten a ladder and gotten in a side window, like, or could someone have like hidden in our house earlier and made their way upstairs? And so,
Well, we also, like, best case scenario, we thought, well, maybe it's the printer.
well, that was later.
That was later?
We didn't think of that at the time.
You're right, you're right.
At this time, like we could hear something upstairs, and we were sure a person.
I thought
'Cause
maybe the neighbor's kid.
You thought maybe the neighbor's kid, because one of our neighbors has like a younger person, maybe just stumbled in or something.
Who sometimes goes out his window.
Yeah. Just went in the wrong window, maybe.
But I woke up to you.
I put on my pants, and I picked up my Bowie knife, and
Yeah.
I woke you with, call the cops.
Right, you handed me a phone, told me to call the police. You had a knife in your hand, and that was all I knew was, what? Okay.
I had pants and a knife, and I said, call the cops. And then, like, as you were questioning it, you heard the footsteps.
Yeah. Yep.
And I...
Thought I was gonna die. Or that you were gonna kill somebody.
Either way. But, so you called the cops, and we talked to them, and I unlocked the front door so they could come in when they got here. And I'm just at the bottom of the stairs with a Bowie knife, and, like, when we know the cops are showing up, I just, like, I think I yelled up something.
Something.
And the footsteps stopped for a second. And so then the police got here. And we live in a pretty sleepy town. Nothing's happening here at 1 in the morning on a Tuesday.
We get fires sometimes. I'm
Well,
just saying. But generally not home invasions.
generally not home. It tends to be pretty sleepy where we are.
Right.
The town does have a
Cursed history.
history of fires, but this wasn't a fire. This was footsteps. So like it wasn't like 2 cops showed up. Like 8 cops showed up, and they just searched through the entire house. And I'm like, yeah, as they're going upstairs, I'm just like, careful. There's construction. Da 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 da. And I'm like trying to lead them through. We're showing them like everywhere out the back, and they
gave him a tour.
Gave them a tour. Like when I'm like, and they cleared the house, like front to back, cleared the house. They went all the way around. They're just like, there's nobody here, and I'm super embarrassed. I'm like, oh man, I don't know how I could have sworn I heard footsteps, and I'm really sorry to waste all your time. I was like sure that there was someone upstairs.
There were so many cops here.
And they like swept around the perimeter and like the yard and everything, and they were just like, there's no sign of anyone. So I'm just like, oh, like I was so wrong, and I'm so embarrassed now. How could I have been so wrong? So the cops drive away, and we're hyped up on adrenaline. It's like 1:45 in the morning. We're sitting in bed, and I'm like, you know what it is? Sometimes our printer will get an update, and it'll reboot, and when it reboots, it'll like readjust the cartridge. It's got a cartridge carriage.
Yeah.
That swings back and forth, and it wasn't exactly on a sturdy table, so I'm like, it probably got an update.
That sounded so reasonable.
And, like, as the carriage was moving back and forth, it was shaking the table, and that's why it sounded like weird, like, off-kilter footsteps, and ha 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 ha, and then we hear the footsteps again.
Yes.
And so I'm just like, this is crazy. And so I'm still, again, pants, knife, and this time I'm just trying to find, like, where upstairs are they? Because it's not a huge house.
No.
There's not places for a person to hide. Like...
But something else.
But, well, we'll get there. So as I'm, like, trying to, like, figure out, like, from the kitchen, I'm, like, trying to be underneath the footstep to figure out where exactly they are. And I realize that footsteps aren't coming from upstairs. They're coming from in the wall.
They're coming
There's
from inside the
something
house.
thumping inside the wall, but because the wall is hollow between the kitchen and the living room, it just reverberated through the empty ceiling and made it sound like it was upstairs. So there's something in our wall. So I'm like, okay, there's a creature in our wall. That's better than a person upstairs.
I thought maybe a stray cat, because there are stray cats.
There are lots of stray and outdoor cats in our neighborhood.
Maybe a raccoon.
Yeah. So I call the local animal control, and their message says we don't do off hours stuff. Call 911. So I call 911 back and go, hey, it's the guy from before with the 8 cops. We found out was making the noise is an animal in the wall and not a person upstairs. And animal control said we should call you because it's their off hours. And the woman says that they don't really do animal control, but because we called, they have to send the cops back. And I remember saying, could you send one?
And they
we
did.
We don't need all 8. We just need, you just need one to check that I don't want to waste all their time.
To their credit, they did.
They did send one.
One guy.
And he came in, and we stood in the kitchen, and he heard the thumps, and he's like, yeah, that's a critter in the wall. We don't do anything about that. I'm like, cool.
Well, as he was walking out, I grabbed him and said, can you at least suggest something? Anything. If you had something, who would you call? What would you do? And he just said, not this one particular company, and otherwise had nothing and just left.
He very much was not a fan of that one company.
But I forced him to say something.
Yeah, good luck with that, and he left. At this point, we're listening to it. Now the critter is in the ceiling.
Yes.
And I can hear whatever it is going back and forth. And I'm trying to stay awake and track where it is. So in the morning, we can call a critter removal guy. Because at this point, I'm like, they're going to have to cut a hole in the ceiling and grab this critter and move it out the thing.
And we had just done so much work on the ceiling and walls
These
and everything.
are some of the new ceilings we just put up. I was just not looking forward to it.
So you're awake, descending into madness.
I'm awake because at that point, at the time that the critter removal place has opened, I have been up for over 24 hours. I'm probably awake for 30 hours at that point.
Yes.
So I call the critter removal place that's supposed to be pretty fair and reasonable. And the guy's like, I can maybe fit you in later. It's going to cost $1,000. And I'm like, I'll call you back. Click. And I turn to you and go, fucking nope. Oh, it'll die up there. It'll be fine. This is a vacation that we don't get to take. This is insane that they're going to come in, cause damage to my house, and then charge me for it. Because they're not going to patch the hole.
No.
They're just going to reach in, grab whatever it is by the scruff of the neck, and say, good luck with your hole, and leave. It's good money for them.
That's a hell of a sentence. Good luck with your hole.
Good luck with your hole. Put that on a t-shirt. Good luck with your hole. So at this point, it was also despite my best efforts, I had been falling in and out of a sleep daze, so I had lost track of where it was. So he might have to punch holes in several of our ceilings that we just put up. So I'm just you know what? We haven't heard it in hours. It probably found its way out. It doesn't want to be stuck in our ceiling, so maybe it found its way out, and we went through our day. So I think I called into work because I was in no condition to drive into work and then work 8 hours and come home after staying up all night. It's just, in my younger years, yeah, sure. But now I need my 8 hours.
No shape for it.
So I took a quick nap and we worked on other stuff around the house, and then we're settling in that night. So now it's Wednesday night. We're settling in 10 o'clock, nice and early, because it's been a long day of dealing with the police and dealing with the people who do the critter removal and all this other nonsense. And we're laying there and we're just well, I guess the critter has, and footsteps in the ceiling again.
Turns out
Woke
nocturnal,
up.
Whatever it is.
Nocturnal, just sleeped.
Like a demon.
Just sleeped. So we're trying to, at this point, we're pretty sure from the size of the footsteps, we're this is a raccoon.
It has to be.
This sounds, because this is definitely it's not a cat moves silently. It's not doing that. It's paddling around.
Yeah, pitter patter.
It's slamming its hands down. It does not care about
its
stuff.
Little grabby hands.
Yeah. So we figure it's a raccoon. It somehow got up into our walls from somewhere. It's we have an old farmhouse, so it's not there's no way to airtight seal where the foundation hits the ground. It's just the way it is. So whatever it is, had like crawled up inside and then crawled into the between the first and second floor. And so I realized that because the bathrooms are stacked on top of each other, there's an access hatch in the first floor bathroom ceiling to allow you to get to the pipes to the second floor bathroom to handle any issues.
Right.
So, now that we can hear it moving around, I pick one of the panels up and I move it aside, and I have you play baby raccoon noises on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a box and we put marshmallows in it because the internet says raccoons fucking love marshmallows. My plan was to get the raccoon into the box, close the box, and shove it out the door.
You had a plank.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet. That was later.
Okay.
Hold on. We'll get to the plank.
I remember the plank.
Oh, that was, yeah. We did do a thing where, so the upstairs bathroom was under construction.
Right. So this was our only bathroom, was downstairs.
My first thing was not the box. It was
No.
I put a plank to the hole, from the hole to the tub, thinking it'll climb out
And
into the room.
close the door. You suggested that you could lift me up to pee in the sink if I needed to go. I remember that conversation, husband I love.
That was a plan though, because it would have meant it's out of our ceiling.
Yes. But the plank didn't work.
The plank didn't work. It had no interest in crawling down the plank. So we remove the plank. I get the box. I get the marshmallow. Have you play the thing.
Right.
Have you play the baby raccoon noises. And so it comes over to the edge of the hole, and it's curious, and its snoot pokes over, and I go, that ain't a raccoon. It was a possum. It was a possum. I don't know if you've ever seen a possum up close. Possums have faces only mothers could love. It's a North American opossum.
Yeah.
So its face looks like it's already dead. It's got the crinkly nose. It's got like the little sharp teeth. And possums are great. They eat a lot of ticks. But like, I don't want to stare one in the face.
No.
From 3 feet away. So I'm like, oh crap. Well, we need a new plan. Because it's not going to react to the marshmallows. It's being so... but I'm still like, it can get into the box. It doesn't like...
Right.
It looks like it's not... Because there's no water up there. So it's dried out. It doesn't want to be there. It just doesn't know how to get out. So I'm holding the box against the hole and just like trying to like get it to come in the box. And then I think it took like 20-40 minutes.
You had your arms up for a while. I was concerned. I
had
about
my
blood.
arms up for a while because I know possums like it dark, so I was trying to keep it like flush against the top of the ceiling. And eventually, I hear a thump, and I feel the weight shift in the box as the possum pops into the new area to search for a way out. And at this point, I realize this box closes, but it closes from flaps on the side. So in order to close this box on the possum, I have to bring it down to face level to close it, flip shut.
So instead,
I call out to you, and I hold it against... I move it from the hole so it can't crawl back up, and I have you get one of the... We had construction wood around. I had you get a board that was about as wide as the opening, so I could do the whole, like, fly in a cup thing.
I had to choose wisely.
Yep. So, you bring me the board, I slide the board over so it can't just hop out, and then I have you open all the doors between me and the bathroom, and I lower the box, and I'm briskly walking to the backyard to set the box down and retreat. I get to the back step, and the possum wants to thank me for getting it out of the ceiling.
Clearly.
So, in thankfulness, the prehensile ratty tail whips out the box and whips around my fingers.
Try to get a handshake.
Just to give me a handshake. And I fucking yeeted that box the last 2 feet.
Do you remember what you said?
Nope!
Actually, because it's burned into my brain, what you said was, nope, don't come back around here, you hear?
Oh, that was later. I said nope during the yeet, and then as I retreated back into the house, I said, y'all don't come back now. Because you have to country talk possums. They're country folk.
They play banjo.
So, the possum gathered itself and left the box unharmed.
Mm-hmm.
but it never crawled back into our ceiling.
And nothing wanted that marshmallow.
No.
That marshmallow's not food.
No, ants wouldn't eat that marshmallow. We stopped buying that brand of marshmallow because, like,
Nothing wanted it.
the possum didn't want it, ants didn't want it. Because I went and collected the box the next day. I let the possum have the box for the night.
Mm-hmm.
But that night we got a full night's rest, and we got a
Good.
story. And ever since then, whenever the house creaks, I go, "Do I have to get the possum out?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But possum never came back.
Yeah, turns out our house is just haunted.
Yeah.
But at least it's not an opossum.
It's not a possum ghost.
Hmm.
So that was our 2 days with a possum roommate. He still owes us rent,
It's true. It's true.
but it was now it's a fun story.
Yeah.
Because who else can say, like, I saved us $1,000 by yeeting a possum?
At least we didn't have to worry. Like, typically they don't have rabies. Like,
Right.
grand scheme of wildlife, they're not the worst.
Right, a raccoon would have been more concerning.
Yeah.
Possums, like,
Deer would have been bad. Deer are terrible. They're not gonna have a deer in our ceiling, but
if
I'm
I had
just
a
saying.
deer in the crawl space of the ceiling, that would be a whole other
I would
problem.
move.
But, yeah, but possums, like, possums, like, if they're getting attacked, they play dead. So they're not really rip your face off animals. They don't tend to have a lot of rabies or Lyme disease because their body burns off that stuff. But I didn't want to shake his hand. I don't want to be rude about it, but, like, that, like, you know.
Well, he didn't shake your hand with his little fingered hand. He shook your hand with his butt.
Yeah.
His butt.
Yeah.
That's different. You don't shake a stranger's hand with your butt.
Well, I don't. There might be customs somewhere, but
I think you have to pay for that.
that's the possum story. That's the story of yeeting a possum out of our house.
Yeah. Do you have any suggestions for any other topics? Anything you want to know about us? Just let us know in the comments below.
Is there any other wildlife you'd like to hear our yeeting stories about?
Or I could rant all about why I don't like deer.
Deer are awful.
They are.
They're terrible.
Dolphins are worse. Anyway, rock on.
Rock on.